All right, welcome back everybody for another video about the world, how we find ourselves in it at the moment. Interesting times. First of all, if you like what you're hearing, subscribe, share, like, ring the bell, all that kind of stuff. That'll be really helpful. And also, tell your friends and stuff and everything else. Love to hear from you. Big shout out to all the people that have commented and contacted me and about the videos and have got questions and stuff, which is fantastic. I mean, honestly, I originally only did this for myself, really, just to talk out loud, really. But amazed at the number of people have been watching and the comments we're getting. Not all of them are on the videos. Some of them basically have been direct to me, which is fine. So if you do want to contact me directly, you're most welcome to, willing to chat about anything all the time. So just on that, we've got a couple of questions I'll answer. So again, if you've got questions that you want me to answer and everything else, happy to do that, or just ring up for a chat. Or if you want me to talk about something that I maybe haven't covered yet or in the future, I'm welcome to do that as well. So some question and answers. The first one's from Sean, and Sean wants to know what is the government doing for small businesses in this time. It's a good point. Obviously, it's a Labor government, so generally speaking, Labor governments generally will always focus on the employee before the employer. That's just basically what happens. So it's great that we've got the wage subsidy out there, which is good, but that doesn't actually help the majority of small businesses who have got the other costs as well. And then probably one of the biggest one of those is rent. So I think a lot of businesses will find it very, very hard surviving purely because of the rent scenario. If you're paying thousands and thousands of dollars per week or month in rent, you've got no income and you're not working, there's only a small amount of time that you can actually physically stay open without getting into much difficulty. So I suggest talk to your landlords. I know there's a lot of landlords out there that are being very good and generous and giving a bit of a rent holiday, or maybe putting the rent get back to 50% for a little while. So talk to your landlord. They don't want you to leave either. So if you can work out of a bit of a deal to keep your business going, so when it's open you can get back going again, that's awesome. I think I did hear this morning or yesterday that I think you might be able to defer some of your taxes as well. So last year's profits you might be able to put into this year's losses and try and minimise that a little bit, and hopefully they might come out with some other tax stuff as well. So, but talk to your accountant about that. So I think there'll be certainly ways that you can eliminate that. So I hope that helps. The other thing too, I want to just bring up on that. I think the way we've where we found ourselves now with business and everything else, I think council need to take a big leading role in this, and the leaders out there need to take a leading role, and for once actually realise that they're not just a money grabbing thing. They deal with people and people's livelihoods, and they need to take a huge cut in what they're asking for rates, and they should cut all rate increases straight away. They all should be taking a 50% cut on, 80% cut on maybe wages and stuff, and rates should probably go down by at least 20%. Now of course they're going to say, oh well, we can't stop doing this and that infrastructure and blah blah blah, but they can. If they activate like any other business, you'd have to. So they need to just pull their horns in, I think, and realise what everyone's going to be facing in the future coming forward, and work with them and to do that. So it'll be interesting to see what councils do that. I mean, if any of them put rate increases going forward out there, they need their head read really. And I'd love to see some councils take some initiative and actually cut rates big time. Sure, it's going to hurt them. They're going to have to lay off staff. They're going to have to stop projects, but everybody is. So they just need to be in the real world, I think. So it'll be interesting to see. So thanks for that, Sean. The next one we got from Wayne. He wants to buy a house soon. Wants to know how long he should have to wait, and what about his KiwiSaver? That's a good question. It all depends, because of course everybody's different. Now, if you find the right house in the right location and you can get a good deal, remember there's going to be some good deals coming up. So I certainly wouldn't be paying what they're asking for it back in February. Then sure, and figures stack up and you got a job, sure, go ahead. But if you want the best deals, then you probably need to wait at least a year and a half, and you'll get some outstanding prices or deals coming along compared to what they are today. The KiwiSaver it's a hard one, that one. I mean, I'm not a big fan of KiwiSaver, never has been. It all sounds good on paper and everything else. Do you realise that the New Zealand banks, well, not New Zealand banks, most of them are Aussies, but the banks in New Zealand earn $550 million a year on KiwiSaver fees? Just amazing. That's your money that you should have in your pocket, and that's the fees they're collecting. $550 million. Oh, amazing. So the problem with KiwiSaver that I see is that you and your employer put it into an account that the banks look after and charge very well for. And then they go package together and put it into funds in New Zealand and or overseas and mutual funds and stuff. And so they're just gambling with it basically. When things are going well, everything looks rosy, and when things turn to custard like now, you know, they're going to drop like a stone. So it's not really, it's certainly not secure in any way. And I think that, you know, most KiwiSavers are going to take a huge hit, and it's going to take many, many years to get back to where you were, close, if you like. In my opinion, would be a better way of doing it would be just having a set amount of money going into a secure government guaranteed bank account, earning minimal interest. So there might not be a lot of gains in it, but there's no risk either, and it's only supposed to be, so, you know, it's your money to spend at a later time, and rather than risking a big gains, but also risking there might not be anything there. So that's my view of that. So yeah, you might be able to change your KiwiSaver from a from a risky fund to a more conservative one. I'm not sure how that works or how quickly you can do that, or whether it's too late because of what's happened to the share market. I don't know, but I do believe that the share market has got a long way to go down yet. It'll have a few rises, and everybody thinks, oh look, the bottom's already gone and we're all good, but it's going to hit lows next year. So just be wary of that. So if you can get it out earlier, then do. All right. So the topic today is all about money, which is quite an interesting one. It's quite a hard one to explain in a very short time, so I'll do my best. But it's I find it very interesting. I try and teach my bank teller every time I go to the bank, tell her what money or what is not money and everything else. So let's just start by a couple of little simple things. So let's just have a little $100 bill here, okay, that we're all familiar with, obviously. That is not money. We think it's money, but it's not. That there is what they call a fiat currency. So it's backed by nothing. The government just print it, stamp $100 on it, and they call it $100. But in actual fact, it's nothing. It's just a currency. Money, proper money, is something that is like this, and that's a gold coin. That's real money. It's been around for about 5,000 years, always holds its value and everything else. So to be money, it has to have about 5 or 6 properties, which this fiat currency has as well, except one thing it hasn't got. So it's got to be a medium of exchange, it's got to be portable, fundable, divisible, and interchangeable. But the main thing that fiat currencies don't have, where gold and silver do, is it's got to be a store of value. Which means that if your grandfather had $100 way back, you know, when you were a kid, and he gave you this $100, and he said, I want you to spend that when you're 50, and this is what I can buy now, you should be able to buy the same stuff when you're 50. You can't, of course, because of inflation. Inflation just means that this is devaluing every single day. On the other hand, when you have gold, like this, there's actually heaps of forms of gold. There's a gold coin, you can buy like just a little slab of it type thing, they do stamps of it, all that kind of stuff. So when you buy gold, basically it holds its value, and it's a store of value over time. So an ounce of gold 5,000 years ago would buy you a beautiful full armored suit. And an ounce of gold today is worth about $1,700 US, and that'll buy you a pretty nice suit. So it buys the same stuff. So if your grandfather gave you this, then whatever he could buy with it, you'd be able to buy with it, and your children's children would be able to buy with it. So that's why it's a store of value. Now these things here, fiat currencies, they have no value. They're not related to gold. President Nixon took the US dollar off the gold standard in 1971 because they were running out of gold because it was being repatriated back into Europe. And so they did a temporary stop of gold and took it off the gold standard, and all other currencies then was pegged to the US, which is pegged to nothing. So the whole world's in the same situation now, which is why it's so crazy. Also, every single fiat currency in the world that's ever been invented, which is about over 6,500 of them, the value has always ended at 0. In other words, worthless. Every single one of them. Not one of them has kept its value, which is quite weird, eh? So most of them last somewhere between 25 and 45 years. After that, they normally get revalued into something else, or a different monetary system comes in. I think at the moment, we're in this one for about 40 odd years, so we're due for what they call a reset, which I'm predicting will happen sooner rather than later. And so what happens then is all the banks close, and you wake up in a couple of weeks' time, and your $100 is now worth one of whatever they call it. Could it be a SDR, special drawing rights, Chinese money, or whatever. whatever they decide to happen, and then we basically start the whole process over again. But there's just so much debt out there now that, you know, it's just incredible. And you got to remember that when all this money that the government's giving out at the moment, it's not real. They just print it out of their printing press. So actually, they just put a dot on the computer and there it is. So it's not actually real, but we have to pay interest on it, well, our kids do, and pay it back. So it becomes a thing. In the old days, when money was backed by this, then governments could not print any more money than they had of gold. So there was only a limited supply, which gave it its value. So if you had a situation like we are in today, governments would have to go and look how much gold they got, and that's it. They couldn't just go and get some more money, and that kept economies a lot more stable, a lot more, you know, less booms and busts and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good way to know. So yeah, so that's only just a very small thing on money, but just make sure that people, when you're talking about it, you know, people know the difference between money and currency, because it is important. And I think we're going to get a reset soon, which is going to be interesting. I'll probably do a video later on digital, which is a kind of another currency there, which I think is going to come more and more apparent in the world. So you've got cryptocurrencies, which I was lucky enough to buy quite early on, with Bitcoin and stuff. And I think that hopefully governments stay out of that kind of stuff. If they don't, and we end up getting a new currency that's digital through the government, that would be terrible, because they would be able to control you like you would not believe. They'd be able to control your spending habits. They'll be able to tell you where you could spend, who you could spend with, how much, just so easily. It would just be a nightmare. So hopefully they don't do that, but who knows these days, you never know. All right, so that's it on money. Any questions, feel free to ask. Happy to ask any questions. And remember to do the like button, the subscribe, share, do the alarm bell so we know what's coming. The next video is going to be about banks, which is going to be really cool. Enjoy that. There's some stuff that you would be amazed what banks can do that you and I can't, and government for that matter. And so I hope you really enjoy that. Apart from that, stay safe and look forward to seeing you all next time. Cheers.